You're listening to Operation Self Reset, how to change the imprints on your life. What's going on, you freaking awesome people? Welcome back to Operation Self Reset. My name is Jake Naraki, coming to you live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Each and every week, we dive into a different topic in the world of personal development. As you know, there's billions and millions of different podcasts out there. Thank you for taking time to listen to this one in particular. If this is your first time listening to the show, thank you, welcome, and I hope you enjoy it. If you are a long-term listener, what's up? Great to have you guys back. Now, before we dive into today's content, there is no sponsor of the show, but I want to sponsor somebody in particular, and that is you. Yes, the listener, you deserve a little credit. Why? Because, of course, you're freaking awesome. You know that, I know that, but I want to do something special for you today, and that is to actually do the awesome sauce. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, Jake, this is my first time listening to you. I have no idea who you are, what you're about. Well, all I can say to that answer and to answer that question completely and fully is this. You're freaking awesome, and you need to let yourself know that a little bit more. I don't care if you're a seasoned professional. I don't care if you have $1 million in your bank account. I don't care if you're the creme de la creme or you're the lowest of the low. It doesn't matter who you are. All I know is that we need to remind ourselves of how awesome we are, and the reason why we do that, it increases our self-esteem. It increases our self-image. Our self-image is something that we're going to be talking about today. Self-image can be the key word of confidence, of bringing out your best, your best step forward in life for yourself, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So let's do what we do best. I call this little silliness called the awesome sauces, where you stand in a position of power, you put your chest out, shoulders up high, arms overhead. How do you even put your shoulders up high? I don't know. Are we shoulder shrugging here, I guess? When you have your arms out, I want you to move your fingers. I want you to lift your chin. I want you to pull those shoulder blades back, and I want you to scream at the top of your lungs, I'm freaking awesome. We do this not to proclaim how awesome we truly are, but to ignite, to turn that engine of confidence, of self-esteem, of that belief for us to move forward into the world, bringing our best self forward. And I think we need more of that in today's world, with bombarded with different advertisements and famous people and the things that we shoulda, coulda, woulda did. And we get down on ourselves so much. And it's one time for us, one time a week, to kind of rise ourselves up. So if you wouldn't mind joining me on the count of 1, 2, 3, we're going to scream, I'm freaking awesome. Put yourself in that power position stance and join me. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, I'm freaking awesome! Woo! Yes! Feels good. It feels ridiculous. You may be thinking to yourself, I'm never going to listen to this guy again. Well, I hope you do, because hopefully some of the things I'm going to share with you guys brings you legit value. If you smiled, if you grimaced, if you thought it was silly, and it made you feel uncomfortable just listening to it, that is a telltale sign. That is like the goal, flashing, air horn, the buzzer beater shot, confetti falling down, a reminder to yourself that you need to get out of your own way. If you do not feel confident in screaming, I'm freaking awesome, if you feel awkward when I even yell it to you, if you turn off this podcast after I scream it, well, you wouldn't be listening to it right now if you did. But this is a reminder to yourself, then you know what? You got to start getting out of your own way and bring your best self forward. The only way to do that is to remind yourself. The only way to remind yourself is to give yourself the awesome sauce every single chance that you can, in your car, in your shower, changing, in the bathroom at your employment, at the gym. It doesn't really matter. Anywhere and everywhere. It is free. It's something you can do personally, and it makes you feel really good, releases great chemicals out of your mind, into your body, and allows you to feel awake without taking any espresso shots or spending your hard-earned money. So, with that being said, let's get into the content for today. Now, for the past week, I have been blessed going to Washington, D.C., America's capital. I was out there for a family wedding, and the wedding went great. It was a great, amazing time. Unfortunately, on the way back, our flight got canceled due to weather. We had to stay in D.C. an extra night, and then the worst part was they didn't have a flight coming back to Milwaukee from D.C., so we had to fly into Chicago. Then we got a car to drive us back home. Long story short, we're back home, and I'm doing this podcast for you. In that trip, A lot of great things happened. We saw the Holocaust Museum. I wouldn't say that was a great thing that happened. We witnessing the Holocaust Museum was very touching, very moving. I think I spoke of this once before. I went to it last year. My wife went to it again this year, and walking through that is unbelievable. A very hard time in the world history, a very disturbing kind of referencing back to World Wars and the Nazis and the Jews and all different types of things. And I'm not going to get into that because that's not what the show is about. The only thing that I can say off of that is obviously to love everything that you're doing, because as I read, the different kind of headings and news clippings that they had throughout the museum, that it a lot of these people, a lot of the Jews that were affected by this, their world flipped upside down in the matter of one evening. One evening, they had a great business, everything was going well, and then next thing you know, they started boycotting and throwing them into the ghettos and all different types of stuff. And just love every minute that you can with whoever you are with or what you're doing, because things can always change for the worst in a flip of a switch. So that's number one. Number two, it was a great reminder of how far the world has come. Obviously, there's issues in Syria, there's issues going on all over the place, but it's the continued progression of us being more aware of what is going on in the world. I think is a great thing for all of us to kind of have our finger on the pulse and to see what's going on in the world to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. But besides that, I did a lot of other cool things. We did the White House tour. It was something that we had a plan about 8 or 10 months in advance. And then we also saw the cherry blossoms. The cherry blossoms are a Japanese tree that were brought over as appreciation. I don't know the full story. One of the first ladies of the White House went to Japan or China. They saw these cherry blossom trees. They loved them so much, they brought them back to Washington, D.C., and Washington, D.C. is sprinkled with the cherry blossoms, and it's beautiful. It's really, really nice. And the first thing I want to touch on, and I think this is the first kind of idea that when it comes to changing your imprinting, would be this. The White House tour was really cool. It was really magical. It was unique walking through the White House because, as we all know, a lot of presidents have gone through there. A lot of important people have passed through the hallways and everything like that. Unfortunately, though, the White House tour was also disappointing. And I say that because you have this nostalgia. You think the White House is the creme de la creme. You believe that you walking to this home is going to inspire you. It's going to pull back the curtain and make you go wow. And what it did to me was go it was a good tour. Like it wasn't anything special because at the end of the day the White House is nothing more than a house that's white. And yes, are there different rooms? Yes, are there amazing pictures on the walls? Yes, are there amazing sculptures and great views of the different monuments through the windows? Yes, 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 yes. But what it made me realize is that even though the White House is prestigious and elite and the creme de la creme, it's truly just a house with four walls that's painted white that has unbelievable amount of history, but it made me realize that sometimes we put so much love, so much commitment, so much energy into other things around us. And when you finally do experience that thing or talk to that famous person or finally get to meet that influencer that really has allowed you to become who you are, or you put so much effort and love into, and you pull back the curtain, you see who they are truly, you're kind of disappointed. You're kind of like, oh, I was expecting more. It's going to a resort at an all-inclusive place somewhere in the world, and you're expecting, top-notch service, and then it's average service. Or you expect to, get this watch that's handcrafted, that it's just going to make you feel amazing, and then you get it, and then it's just a watch. And we can put that on anything, right? And so for me, it was a reminder to all of us, and I'm sharing this with you, that even though things may seem prestigious and elite and awesome, don't put all of your energy and love and wow factor into that thing, because we do not always know how it's going to be when we do experience it. And so the answer and the message behind it is don't let others dictate how you see yourself. Because even though you are who you are, we kind of downgrade who we are in in the shadow of who we see in front of us and who we want to be and all these things that we want to feel and touch and have. And it sometimes alter the reality of who we are truly. And so I walked into that White House thinking it was going to be the best tour, the best thing, amazing, all this stuff. And I walked out of there going, it's a White House. It's a house that's white. It has its issues. It's not perfect. It's beautiful, and there's history to it, of course. But it made me reflect and go, you know what? There's times that we put so much energy into everything else. It's about time we need to realize and to understand that we need to put that same amount of energy and commitment and prestigious ideas into thyself as opposed to looking at everything else around us and giving that energy out, because energy is precious, if I can even say that. Precious energy is very precious, and if you hand that out to too many people, too many influencers, too many things, to phones and gadgets and gizmos and food and whatever, you're not going to have any for yourself. If you leave yourself empty of energy, you're not going to be able to put yourself up on that higher platform of good self image. Okay, so that's number one. Never let others dictate how you see yourself. Truly, that is number one. The second idea comes off of this story. We wanted to go see the cherry blossoms. The cherry blossoms are all over Washington, D.C., but they're kind of maybe the most famous around the George Washington monuments or Abraham Lincoln monuments. They're kind of all over the place. And so, to get the best feel, to get the best kind of flavor of these cherry blossom trees, you have to go down to where the monuments are. And in the pursuit of going to see these cherry blossoms, a lot of family, a lot of friends said, don't go down there. It's too busy. They have the cherry blossom parade today. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be hot. There's going to be crowds. You're not going to have enough water or food. You're not going to get a taxi back out of there to the hotel. All these different types of things. I think you can probably insert your own story, right? You've heard it before. You wanted to go do something, but yet your family members or friends or relatives, coworkers, it doesn't matter who it is, tell you don't go. It's not worth it. It's going to be silly or stupid. Don't waste your time. You're going to be hot, tired, aggravated. It's going to be one heck of a journey for no outcome, all those different types of things. But what did my family and I decide to do? We decided to go anyway. It was a beautiful day, and we said, you know what? Regardless of how it's going to turn out, we're going to try to get our butts, to the monuments. And yes, were there crowds? Yes, was it busy? Yes, was it, was it kind of claustrophobic of trying to get a taxi and Uber and all that stuff? Yes, of course. But we went down there and truly it was awesome. It was magical. There were cherry blossoms all over the place. People were friendly. It was hot and warm, but we didn't care because we were down there for the cherry blossoms. We found shade. We were overlooking different monuments. It was a moment that we will never forget. And the second idea off of this comes to the idea of you need to do what you want to do. There's going to be people that are going to want to dictate and alter how you show up in your life, what you personally do. The only thing that matters, the only thing that can truly push you in the right direction is to take care of yourself, is to do what you want to do. And in the pursuit of how to change your imprints in three simple ways, number one is to not let others dictate how you see yourself. And number two, to do what you want to do. If it's going to be crazy and packed and hot and sweaty and cold and damp, if you want to do it, go do it. Because the only way to build up your self image, to build up your confidence, your self esteem, is to follow that little thing that speaks to you, and that is your subconscious mind, that little gut feeling of saying, I want to do this thing. And even though nobody else wants to do it, even though everybody else thinks it's dumb and all that stuff, do what you got to do for you. And if you're able to live by that and to stay true to that, then you're on the positive side. You're living the life that you want to live. There's so many people that are letting other people dictate how they show up because they're worried and the what ifs and will they like me or hate me or they think it's cool or stupid or whatever. Don't do that. Do what you got to do for you. That's the second idea. Now, the whole reason for this show right here, right now, change your imprints, and three simple ways. The individual who kind of coined the frame imprints was this man named Lanny Bassham. Now, Lanny was an Olympian gold medalist in the 1976 Olympics for the 50 millimeter rifle. He was a shooter. He did shooting competitions all his life, and he was really good at it. And he wrote this little book, and out of the book is called Winning Without. The book is called Winning. Uh, the book is called With Winning in Mind. I don't know why I'm having such a default here inside of my brain, but the book is called With Winning in Mind by Lanny Bassham. He coined the frame imprinting. Now, imprinting was nothing more that if you want to change, and he says this: nothing is going to change if you don't change. We've all heard that in different facets before, but his idea goes like this. Throughout our life, we have good events that happen, we have bad. Good, bad, good, bad, good, 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 bad, 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 good, bad, 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 good, bad, 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 good, 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 good. As you can see, we have these imprints, almost like a typewriter, right? You put in a sheet of paper, you start in the old school typewriter, the letters start hitting the paper. That's an imprint, right, on that piece of paper. And so what I'm trying to say here and to get through to you guys is that there's different imprints that come into our own personal life. And how do we change those imprints? The only thing that we can do on a regular basis is to be committed on who we choose to be. One thing that he says, and this is the third idea, is that he states a phrase, he calls it, "that's like me." In his training, he did a lot of visual exercises to prepare him for his competitions, for his Olympic challenges, and everything in between. And when he was going through his visualization, when he was going through his mental walkthroughs, he finished it. That's like me. That's like me to have a perfect shooting round. That's like me to hit 10 targets in a row, to take a break, to hit another 10 targets in a row. That's like me. That's like me. That's like me. Unfortunately, a lot of us don't have a philosophy or an idea of that's like me. A lot of us go through life and going, is that me? I don't know if that's me. I think that's me. I'm not sure if that's me. Because we're unsure of the direction that we choose to go. Now, obviously, it was easy for Lanny Bassham to have these ideas, to coin the phrase, that's like me. He obviously was on a pursuit of an objective. He rehearsed that he was going to get the gold medal or different medals in his different shooting competitions, but he has understood the process. He understood where he was, he understood where he wanted to go. In that pursuit, that gap between where he was and where he wanted to go, he understood to get where he wanted to go, he needed to become where he needed to go, and that is where the phrase, "that's like me," came into play. And so Lanny understood that if he wanted to get from point A to point B to point C to point D, E, F, G, all those everything, all the other alphabets or letters, he needed to coin the phrase "that's like me," because the only way to get to where he wanted to go is to understand he needed to become that person. And so the little tidbit, the little fishing hook that I can give you guys, a little piece of bait, is when you're trying to figure out your progression and to finally get the wheels moving in the right direction for sales, business, parenting, diet, mental edge, just being a good person. You need to start to coin the phrase for you, "that's like me." When you start thinking about the qualities of the person that you choose to become or the endeavor that you start to walk towards, you need to start to think, "that's like me. That's like me. That's like me." Now, I will say, as an individual that has a podcast and a show, and I thank you for being a listener because the show has gone gangbusters and everything like that. In the pursuit, there are times that I am hardcore. That's like me. I want to be this person. This is what I strive for. And I will say, sometimes I get kicked off the horse. There are times where I don't have the energy to sit down and talk to you guys. There's times I don't have energy to do other things that I know I should be doing, right? I think we all been there. I know there's times that I go and eat the bad thing when I should be eating the good thing, or I delay a workout to just be on my phone. I get that. I've been there. I am like you. We're humans, right? But when we do get bucked off and we are trying to figure out the path of how to get back on that horse, the best way to go about it is to say to yourself, that's like me. And when you start to figure out that's like me, you'll start to figure out who you need to be. And when you start to figure out who you need to be, you start to understand that's like me. And when you start to figure out that that's like me, then you start to become that person. Sounds confusing, sounds ridiculous, but that's the truth. If you want to become a better business person, CEO, parent, fitness expert, author, world traveler, you need to start to embrace how to get back on the railroad tracks. And the best way is to start thinking, that's like me. And if you say that subconsciously to yourself as you're eating a big bowl of delicious ice cream, but yet you know that you got a big marathon race coming up tomorrow, you need to understand that that's not in alignment of that's like me. And so you start to work either forwards towards it or backwards, depending on how your mind works personally. And so, how to change your imprints on three simple ways is this. Reflection time here, people. Number one, don't let others dictate how you see yourself. Number two, do what you want to do. And number three, that's like me. That's like me. And if you want to really excel and have the same type of output as Lanny Bassham when when he was practicing his shooting, you need to rehearse it in your mind and you got to talk to yourself consistently and to remind yourself that's like me. The White House is nothing more than a house. Even though it's a crown jewel and people come from around the world to take pictures of it and people want to get inside of it and they think it's some awesome monument, it is, but it's nothing more than a house. And what makes that house is the people that are in it and the people that have created history because of it. That's what the real prestige lies. But it's nothing more than just an object. And so don't think that you need to put great things into your life for you to have that same type of value, because don't let things or other people dictate how you personally show up in the world. And so that's my last little thing that I want to end on, because I think that's a very strong point that a lot of us put so much other energy and effort into. And it's about time that we start to take that energy and keep it for ourselves to get that self image up. And of course, to change those imprints for us to become better individuals. So that's all I have for you guys today. I appreciate your time full-heartedly. If there's anything that I can do for you, please send me an email, jake@operationselfreset.com. And also, too, if you want to do something special for me, please leave a review on iTunes. All you have to do is click review underneath the title Operation Self Reset in iTunes, and leave a review would be greatly, greatly appreciated. The more reviews allows this show to reach more individuals. So with that being said, I thank you so much for your time. I appreciate your commitment to the show. Also, too, I finally figured out how to fix my website, so that's back and running once again. I apologize for the delay. A lot of great things coming down the pipe of Operation Self Reset for 2018. And if you have any suggestions for the show or people to bring on, it'd be greatly appreciated for your input. I would love to make this a very open concept type of show. So with that being said, thank you for your time. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next week, Wednesday, for another great episode of Operation Self Reset. We'll see ya.